The Bitcoin Standard, the book that will shock you and change your mind. If there is a list of books that I have read and I recommend one of them, the Bitcoin Standard would be the right one on the top. It's not just about Bitcoin. It's about the entire story of money from long ages till today. How civilizations rise and collapse depending on what they use as money. Why governments always abuse it. And how Bitcoin might finally solve a problem that nobody thought about previously. Lots of CEOs and billionaires say that the book will blow your mind. It's a work of a genius and explains in a very simple way the evolution of money, technical, economical, and motivational issues of people to utilize the Bitcoin and make it one of the things that might emerge as really the number one currency in the world. And that's exactly the beauty of the book. It doesn't just tell you about the digital currency, it tells you about the human history, psychology, and why the money in your pocket might not be as safe as you think. Today, I'm going to walk you in a journey and the ideas of the book of the Bitcoin Standard, but not in a dry academy way. We will really take it in a story. We'll go from seashells to stones to gold to government paper and finally to the Bitcoin. And along the way, we will tell you why this book will change your mind. The start of the journey, the primitive money, stones, shells, and the struggle. If we are standing on an island thousands of years ago, people used those massive stones they call ray stones as money. Those stones were so heavy, sometimes several tons, that nobody moved them. So how did the payment exactly work? If you are paid by stone, it didn't drag or it's not transported from a place to a place. It just announced to the community that this person owns this stone. It worked inside the island. Wait a minute, what if you want to transfer money from an island to an island? People discovered or had to discover better tools. They could carve new stones, small, that they can carry and move to the other island. And because this was easy, people were really carving stones out of nothing, and suddenly value collapsed. The same happened with the seashells. At first, they were rare, precious, but as the ships improved, people collected more shells, supply exploded, and again value collapsed. Here is the lesson. Primitive money always fall because they are not practical to be used like the heavy stones, or they are hard to find, but sooner or later people use or find a way to print it. Now imagine that you wake up like after 20 years and realize that all your savings can be printed or manufactured like the seashells. All your value of your money collapsed. Now, let's go to chapter 2 in the book, which talks about the 3 functions of money. What makes a good money and what makes a bad money? Economists agree on the 3 essential functions of the money that we know. Number 1, the medium of exchange. Money must let people trade easily. Without it, we will need to go to the old system, which is barter or changing of goods together. But for example, the medium that you interact with within the sort of money. What if you want, for example, shoes and someone else is selling to you apples? That's not sufficient. Money solves the issue by really making the middleman or creating the middleman between 2 people who want to trade together. Now, the second part is the store of value. Money must preserve wealth over time. Fish will rotten, apple will be spoiled. Everything that can be collapsed over time or deteriorate over time, you cannot. But silver cannot. Gold cannot. To store value, the money must resist the environment and need to survive a long time so that it can really have the value maintained across the years. This is why we distinguish completely between hard money, which is limited supply like gold, silver, Bitcoin, and easy money, which is unlimited supply, easy to produce, which we call the fiat currency. History shows that societies of hard money prosper and easy money collapse. The third part is the unit of count. Money must measure value. A house that costs $100,000, a sandwich costs $5. Without a standard of really measuring, the planning will collapse. So if you want to grow the medium, you have to have a trusted medium of exchange, a reliable store of value, and a stable unit of account. Now, if you mess up any one of the 3 terms that we mentioned, now the collapse starts. Chapter 3 starts by mentioning gold as the humanity trusted anchor. After stones, shells, all what the civilization have passed through, copper and silver started to be part of the currency world. But supply was not as easy to increase. Every time demand grew, miners produced more, inflation followed. Gold is rare, durable, impossible to create artificially. It's also slow and costly to mine. That's give the gold a high stock to flow ratio. Imagine a swimming pool that filled with water with existing stock. If you had just a cup of water each year, the pool level would barely change, which preserves the amount of money or the amount of water that you have. The gold new supply is very tiny compared to the existing reserves. For centuries, the gold became the backbone of civilization. Empire rose and fell on it. Families stored their life savings in gold, which became the safe haven. But gold had one major flaw: transportation. Carrying gold across continents or between two different locations was dangerous and was completely costly. And the solution was to invent what we call paper money, which is backed by gold. Governors promised that each note that you will take or each paper will represent a real value of gold that it's stored somewhere. It worked until temptation took over. In the World War I and II, lots of governments needed to print money to generate really what they need in the world. And they printed more than the gold reserve that they had. During the Great Depression, they printed a lot of money to stimulate the economy. Because the more you print, the more you encourage people to use the money and the economy boomed, but for a shorter time. Finally, in 1971, the US President Richard Nixon officially killed the gold standard. From a day that money was backed by gold, from this day, money is not backed by gold. It's by trust in the government. Now, Chapter 4, Fiat Money and the Age of Easy Printing. For the past 50 years, the world have never seen this before. This is where we are today, what we call fiat currency. Dollars, euro, yen, Egyptian pound, dirham. It's not tied to anything except the trust in the government. The government can print as much as needed of the money, the fiat currency. And history shows what happens when money supply explodes. In 1920s in Germany, before the war, people carried cash in a wheel just to buy a piece of bread. In Argentina and Turkey today, for example, middle-class savings vanished overnight with inflation. But this isn't just a problem. In the US, since the Nixon shock, lost 90% of its value. What $100 bought then in 1971 now costs almost $800. This is what we call the hidden tax of money, the inflation. Governments don't need to raise your taxes. They just need to print more money. And the more you print, the value of savings erode. Chapter 5, the invention of the Bitcoin. Then came in 2008, trust in the financial system became a question, and suddenly overnight, someone called Satoshi Nakamoto shared a white paper, Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. It proposed a completely radical idea, a currency that's not controlled by any bank or any government. Transactions verified by math, not trust. A fixed supply, only 20 million Bitcoins will ever exist. How? Through what we call a blockchain. Think of blockchain as a giant village ledger, but instead of one ledge keeping all the score, every single villager has a copy. And you cannot try to cheat, because if you try to do, the other villager will verify that, and the network rejects you. New Bitcoins are created through what we call mining computers, through solving math puzzles. This is digital equivalent of digging for gold. Costly, slow, but fair. In Chapter 6, the author talk about the Bitcoin and the three functions of money. Let's now test the Bitcoin against the three things that we mentioned in the beginning. Strong medium of exchange, it's global, no banks, it stores the value, limited to a 21 million, impossible to counterfeit, immune to rust and also inflation. Now, the second thing is the unit of count that we mentioned. It's still developing, but most things are priced now in dollars. It can be priced in cryptos. Today, by the way, the Bitcoin worth more than $100,000 and keeps moving every day. In Chapter 7, the real world lessons. Here's why it matters. In Venezuela, people rushed to Bitcoin to survive what we call the hyperinflation. In Lebanon, when banks froze withdrawals, Bitcoin became the only lifesaver. It's not just about the price charts, it's about the freedom, protection, and the opportunity. In Chapter 8, the Bitcoin standard vision, the author says that societies that will start using cryptos like Bitcoin will prosper. Societies that trapped in easy money will suffer a decline. Hard money encourages saving and innovation and the long-term planning, but easy money, which is the fiat currency, encourages debt, waste, and short-term thinking. The conclusion here in the last chapter, the new chapter of money, that will sum it all. Stones and shells failed. Gold worked well, but really had a very fatal flaw of transport. Fiat currency is convenient, but really lose value. Bitcoin is reliable, digital, and till now cannot be hacked. And that's why the Bitcoin standard changed the way we would think about money. The money in your pocket isn't safe, but Bitcoin offers a new possibility. Although I'm not really a big fan of investing into cryptocurrency, because now it's still a currency, right? But I'm a big believer that the world that we used to know about money will change completely. If you find this journey useful, hit like and subscribe and share, and tell us really what you want to learn about investment, economy, and anything related to generating your wealth for the future.